So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now it is week 18 in the NFL and the Detroit Lions are set to host the Green Bay Packers to end the regular season. It is a divisional matchup, a divisional rivalry to end the 2021 NFL season. The Green Bay Packers have locked up the number one seed in the NFC and will have a bye in the first round of playoffs, and after that will host the NFC playoffs from Green Bay, whereas the Detroit Lions are in a situation where if everything goes right, or I guess if everything happens in a very particular order, they could end up with the number one pick in the NFL draft. So they're playing for two very different things today. The Green Bay Packers, you could argue, are playing for absolutely nothing, and the Detroit Lions are playing for nothing but their pride. But despite the fact that the Green Bay Packers have the number one seed locked up in the NFC and will start the NFC playoff race with a bye in the wild card, that is not going to stop them from playing a lot of their starters in this game. It's already been announced that Aaron Rodgers will officially be starting this game. However, because the Packers really have nothing to play for, it is speculated and it is probably likely that the Green Bay Packers will not play their entire starting core and will not play their starters for an entire game, more so to get them warmed up, more so to kind of go over, try some things they might want to do in the playoffs and get off the field without major injury. I'd be shocked if Aaron Rodgers finishes the game, whether the game is a close, hard-fought contest or whether it is a blowout in one direction or the other. However, even though the Packers are set to start a lot of their star players this week, that does not mean that they are without injury concerns. As Aaron Rodgers, starting running back Aaron Jones, starting tackle David Bakhtiari, and star linebacker Devondre Campbell have all been limited or have not practiced at this point in the week and are questionable going into Sunday's game. Now, it's been confirmed that Aaron Rodgers is likely to start. If he's healthy enough, he will be starting in this game, but with the injury concerns and knowing that these four-star players that the Packers will need to rely on in the postseason are already kind of facing a little bit of that injury bug, it is pretty likely that we don't see Aaron Rodgers play four quarters, that we don't see Aaron Jones, David Bakhtiari, and Devondre Campbell play all four quarters if they play in this game at all. If I was the Green Bay Packers, I would just concede this game, not forfeit, obviously, still try to win. But if I was the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, you play your starters for a quarter, maybe two quarters. You treat it like a preseason game because it really is. It is a preseason game for the playoffs, and I think that's how the Packers should be treating this. They play their starters a little bit. They kind of, make sure that they're not too rusty for the playoffs after a bye week. And, of course, if they didn't play this week, it'd essentially be 2 bye weeks for their players. The same thing happened to Baltimore a few years ago where all of their starters rested the final week of the season. They got a bye week in week 1 of the NFL playoffs, and they came in extremely rusty versus the Tennessee Titans and weren't able to defeat the number 7 seed. And I think the Packers are trying to avoid that this week. I don't know if they're going to play the entire game, but we know for a fact that the starters are going to start and play in this game, which is not good news for the Detroit Lions. And on top of the Packers saying that they're going to play all of their starters, the Lions themselves are facing quite a few significant injuries for this game. The Detroit Lions this week on the injury report have seen Jared Goff Michael Brockers, Jonah Jackson, and Jalen Reeves may have all be limited in practice this week. Now, none of them have missed a practice, which is a really good thing to see because last week Jared Goff started the week without practicing at all. He did not play in any of the practices until the very end of the week, which is why he didn't play in Seattle. But this week he's been limited, but he's been going through reps with the first team. He's been playing in live, obviously not live contact, but life speed, high speed game. He's been playing in, those one-on-ones. He's been playing, going through walkthroughs. He's been doing everything at full speed, just not with the full contact. And I believe Jared Goff will be ready for week 18. And I think he will finish the season as the Detroit Lions starter. Hopefully Jonah Jackson, Jalen Reeves, and Michael Brockers can join him, and all of those 4 starters can finish the year where they began it as starting members of the Detroit Lions roster. Now, I know usually in these videos we talk a lot about, their statistics in the year, and we talk about the Lions statistics, and we kind of, compare those and see who's going to win and do whatever. But this week, since it's the last week of the season, and since we're in a very unique situation in that the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions have already matched up once this season, all the way back 16 weeks ago on Monday Night Football, I want to take a look at that game, talk about the good and the bad from the Lions' perspective, and I want to talk about, 1, what they can build off from that first game versus the Green Bay Packers, and 2, what they can change about the second half of that game in particular to hold on to a lead and give the Packers a real run for their money and end the season on an incredibly high note. So looking back at this week 2 matchup on Monday Night Football, you had the 0-1 Detroit Lions coming off a very hard-fought loss to the San Francisco 49ers, and you had the 0-1 Green Bay Packers coming off an absolute demolition by the New Orleans Saints. The Green Bay Packers had no momentum. They had nothing going into that game, and it started off in a very similar way as to what you imagine. The Lions had momentum going into that game. They finished their game incredibly strong versus the 49ers, and the Packers finished their game very poorly versus the Saints. And to begin the first half of the Packers game, the Lions offense in particular looked really, really strong. They scored a touchdown with Quintez Cephas on the opening drive. The defense got a stop, and they scored another touchdown early in the second quarter on a really nice placed football by Jared Goff in the back corner of the end zone to TJ Hockenson. And actually, they ended that first half of the football game leading the Green Bay Packers 17-14. They were running the ball efficiently. They actually outperformed the Packers on the ground in the entirety of that football game, and they looked really good. They got pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Charles Harris got a sack in the first half of that game, and as I said, they went into the first half. They went into halftime of that game leading the Green Bay Packers, who again would go on to be the NFC's #1 seed, who have been the bully of the NFC North for how many years now. They went into halftime in Dan Campbell's first ever game leading this NFC juggernaut and having a lot of confidence going into the second half. Now, these two teams are incredibly different from when they played in week 2. Jared Goff is a lot more comfortable and confident with his receiving core. The coaching staff is using Jared Goff and utilizing his abilities a lot better than they were early in the season. Amon-Ra St. Brown has emerged as a true top wide receiver in the NFL. I'm not going to say he's a top 10 wide receiver right now or overall, but definitely over the past month or so, Amon-Ra St. Brown is right around that top 10 conversation just from his production alone. The Green Bay Packers are now red hot going into this game. They're on a huge winning streak, only having 3 losses on the season and only having 2 losses since playing the Detroit Lions the first time around. And the Packers kind of found their momentum in the second half. And the Packers season really started in the second half of that Lions game, where they outscored the Lions 21-0 in that second half, ending the game by a score of 35-17. Now, part of the struggle in the second half for the Lions was the weather. It started to rain. It started to downpour a little bit. It was very humid, and the ball was extremely slippery. Jared Goff threw a really bad interception, and I believe fumbled twice in that game as well. I think Jared Goff gave up 3 different possessions in that game alone, and that was still early in the season when Jared Goff was struggling with the turnover bug, when he was struggling to keep the ball and to hold on to possession for the Detroit Lions. Obviously the weather won't affect the game this week because it is in a dome. The temperature will not affect the game this week, and I think the Detroit Lions kind of know how to use their quarterback better, right? Yes, the Packers have a lot more momentum going into this game, but I think the Lions still have a lot to play for, and I think Dan Campbell's going to be that coach that doesn't let them quit. Yeah, he's going to go into the locker room, and their players are going to say, okay, we're too 12, we're 2-13-1. The Packers are a juggernaut, and Dan Campbell's going to point right to week 15, right to week 16 and say, that's the Arizona Cardinals. That was the number 1 seed in the NFL at the time. That was a top 5 scoring offense at the time. That was a top 10 scoring defense at the time that we played them. And we not only kept them below 15 points on the day, we put up 30 points on the Arizona Cardinals. He's going to point to that game and say, you did it once, why can't you do it again? And I think there is a really, really good chance that Dan Campbell wills his team to a victory here. I think he does something that no head coach for the Lions has done in a very long time. He does something that Matt Patricia could never do, which is beating Aaron Rodgers. He's going to do something that a lot of NFC coaches have a hard time doing, and something that no Lions coach has done in recent memory, and that is beating 2 different teams in the same season that are 5 games or more ahead of 500. The Packers are 13-3. At the time, the Cardinals were 10-3. He has a possibility of beating 2 different 10-win teams and beating 2 different NFC juggernauts in the same season. And people are going to look and say, okay, even if they do, it's a 3-13-1 season. What's the big deal? The big deal is the Lions can take this game, take the momentum from this game into the offseason, and Dan Campbell, to the new players, to the free agents that he's trying to sign, to the rookies that he wants on this team, and to the rookies right now on this team going into year 2, can look these players dead in the eye and say, yeah, we struggled last year. We had a learning curve. We had a speed bump. We had a few bumps in the road. But towards the end of the year, since the bye, our defense played really well in a majority of games. We beat the Cardinals, who are a playoff team. We beat the Packers, who are a playoff team. And we beat the Minnesota Vikings, who very nearly snuck into the wild card. That's 3 impressive wins that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes can show these potential recruits, show these potential draftees, and show these potential free agents, and have them say, okay, something is brewing here. Something is coming together, and I can be part of this team. I can be, that one piece that elevates them from 3 wins to 5 wins. And if they get, 4 or 5 free agents like that, guys that can be true impact players next year, there's no reason this team can't jump from 2 to 3 wins to 7 to 9. I mean, this year, realistically, the Lions could have 5 to 7 wins, and there's no reason next year the Lions can't reach 9 to 10 wins on the season with a really good offseason and a really, really good draft and maybe a couple coaching changes. But realistically, the Lions can win this game and go into the offseason with so much momentum moving forward. And the Packers are a really good team this year. Honestly, the Packers, again, they're the number 1 seed in the NFL, number 1 seed in the NFC, but they're not the juggernaut that they were a year ago. They're not the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL. And honestly, statistically, they're not even as good as the Arizona Cardinals when we played them. The Packers right now rank 10th in points scored. They rank 12th in offensive yardage. They're the 9th ranking passing offense and the 19th ranked rushing offense. Our rushing offense ranks higher than the Green Bay Packers this year. So if the Lions can get to the field, if they can play just really good complementary football, if they can run the ball with DeAndre Swift, Jermar Jefferson, Craig Reynolds, and Jamal Williams, if they can get those 4 running backs involved, run the ball like they did the last time, where I believe they had 19 rushing attempts for 109 yards and a touchdown. If they can get pressure on Aaron Rodgers, if Austin Bryant and Charles Harris and Julian Okwara can get through, if Aleem McNeil can get another sack on the season and be that disruptive force that we drafted him to be, if a Levi can break out in this game and get pressure on Aaron Rodgers and we can run the football, I think the Lions have a good chance of winning this game. And I know they're depleted in the secondary, and I know Ifeatu Melifonwu, the rookie, is going to be matched up versus Devontae Adams, which will be a tough matchup. I know that Will Harris will be matched up versus Allen Lazard, which is going to be a tough matchup in our secondary. But if the Lions can get pressure and bleed the clock, and if they can just play a game very similarly to how they thoroughly dominated the Arizona Cardinals, I think they can win this game, and I think they can make it to a point where the Packers are going to bench their starters because it just doesn't make sense for them to play anymore, because the Lions are going to come out hitting hard. The Lions are going to come out playing fast and aggressive, and I think the Packers are going to pull their starters a little early because the Lions are going to play with such heart, and they're going to play fast and aggressive enough where the Packers are going to be fearful that at some point in this game, somebody's going to take a bad hit and Aaron Rodgers won't be available for the playoffs, or Aaron Jones won't be available for the playoffs, or whatever the case may be. They're going to be nervous and they're going to pull their starters early. And if the Lions do play the Packers backups, I think that they can win. If they do play Jordan Love in this game for, half or 3/4, I think they can truly win this game. I don't think the Packers will play their starters all game. And I think that will give the Lions an opportunity to beat the Packers this game. And regardless of who they beat, they're beating the Green Bay Packers. They're beating a division rival. They're beating the kings of the NFC North. And at the end of the day, whether it's starters or backups, beating the Packers is what Campbell came here to do. Beating the division rivals is what Campbell came here to do. And I think he has a really good chance of doing it this week in Detroit. Now, with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching the video. Let me know your score predictions. Let me know your game predictions down in the comments below about this game. But with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions!